Welcome, Dan Stoenescu. It's a pleasure to have this opportunity to speak with you. As your tenure as the head of the EU Delegation for Syria comes to an end after 3 eventful years. Looking back, what have been the biggest successes during your tenure and what were the biggest challenges?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you today, Ana Maria. For me, indeed, it was a very tough mandate, 3 very eventful years, and you cannot talk really about success in Syria. Unfortunately, the situation in Syria is worse day by day. The suffering is growing day by day, and after the 13 years from the start of the conflict, it is really hard to talk about successes. Nevertheless, I believe that the European Union did a tremendous job in supporting the Syrian people. The European Union was, since day one, close to the Syrian people. For us, it is absolutely paramount to support the Syrian people inside Syria and outside Syria. For this reason, the Syrian people feel that the European Union is close to them. Ultimately, more than 1 million Syrians are today in Europe, and they're becoming citizens of Europe. They are welcomed in our society, and this is unfortunately an effect of the civil war in Syria. Just to continue, I believe that the European Union did a great job in the past 13 years in supporting, first of all, the civil society in Syria. And the civil society are the hope for the future of Syria. And I think that the fact that now we have a new generation in Syria, a new generation that is ready to get involved in the work of the community, in the life of the community, in all areas of Syria, in northwest, in northeast, in Damascus, in Homs, in Aleppo, in other areas of Syria. I think this is important. Before 2011, there was no hope of having civil society. Now, slowly but surely, we have this civil society. The European Union spent over 33 billion euros in the past 13 years, and of course we tried to do as much as possible in all areas. We supported the Syrian people in areas such as health, such as education, as I said, support for civil society, human rights, accountability. Lately, we've been working more and more on early recovery and resilience. And I believe this is absolutely paramount for the future of Syria. Also, as you know very well, we're organizing the Brussels conferences since 8 years, and it is a forum to give a voice to the Syrian civil society and also to give unity to the civil society in Syria. It is the only forum where the civil society from northwest, from northeast, from Damascus and other areas in South Syria, they can meet and they can talk together. They can show that Syria is one, and it is important to maintain the unity, sovereignty, and the territorial integrity of Syria. Also, if you're talking about successes, if you can call a success our humanitarian aid that keeps flowing to the people in need. Billions of euros have been spent lately on the most important humanitarian needs. Our humanitarian help is needs-based. We do not condition politically the aid. We just give the aid wherever is needed. And such an example is the rapid response that the European Union had after the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. Immediately, we established air bridges for Syria from Beirut, from Gaziantep. Even planes flew directly to Damascus to help the people as soon as possible. For us, it is important to be involved in Syria to help the Syrian people in spite of the lack of a real political process. Unfortunately, the political process that should be happening in Syria under the 2254 Security Council resolution, it's something that is moving very slow and it needs a true impetus. Unfortunately, the fact that new crises arise around the world is impeding that, and as you know, we have now a war at our doorsteps in Europe. Russia is attacking Ukraine. Also, we have the war in Gaza, terrible crises around the region and around the world, which are taking away the attention from the Syrian crisis. Unfortunately, the Syrian crisis is a protracted crisis, uh, needs a political solution. We need to reach to the root causes of the crisis, and this is why I feel that the challenges are quite big, but only with the involvement of all parties and of the international community, we can solve this together. And I can assure you that the European Union is standing by the Syrian people in this process.
What role has the EU played in the political process in Syria? And the key challenges, in your opinion, to achieving lasting peace?
The European Union is an active partner of the Office of the Special Envoy and of Geir Pedersen, the Special Envoy. We are advocating for a political solution according to the 2254 Security Council resolution, and this has to be a comprehensive solution. All the actors involved need to understand that the UN Security Council resolution is our guiding light. It's not a menu that where we can pick and choose what we want. A full implementation of the 2254 Security Council resolution requires a political solution that tackles the root causes of the Syrian conflict. We need to have a long-term peace, stability, development, and prosperity in Syria, and I think the solution is within this resolution. Unfortunately, the process is very slow, and the European Union is backing Geir Pedersen in his efforts, in his step-for-step efforts also. We are giving him the tools to negotiate a way forward that includes everybody, the regional countries, the Arab states, the United States, and of course the European Union. We are the biggest donor to the Syrian crisis, the EU and its member states. We're a neighbor of Syria. The distance from Latakia to Larnaca is closer than from Latakia to Damascus. So you can see that we have an interest to have stability, prosperity on the long term in Syria. And this is why we're advocating for this political solution. This is why for the past 8 years we've been organizing the Brussels conference with the two segments, the ministerial, where ministers from around the world come and talk about the possible solutions to the Syrian crisis. Also, we have the Day of Dialogue where we involve Syrians themselves. And with these conferences, we keep Syria high on the international agenda in spite of a lot of challenges that are going around. But we are committed to continue our efforts. I know the pace is slow, but our commitment is strong. And
How would you say your time in Syria has impacted you personally and professionally?
of course, during the past 3 years, I was immensely impacted personally and professionally by what is going on in Syria. The immense suffering of the Syrian people really affected me and really made me aware of the importance of supporting the Syrian people. They are resilient people. They are people that have been through a lot of hardships, but still they have the power to fight for a better life for themselves and for a better future for themselves. When you talk about Syria, you talk about an ancient culture, uh, continuously inhabited cities for over 7,000 years. You're talking about a proud nation. You're talking about a very ancient and rich, diverse culture. When you talk about Syria, you're not talking only about Sham, about Damascus, you're talking about Homs, you're talking about Hama, you're talking about Latakia, you're talking about Tartus, you're talking about Hasaka, you're talking about Deir ez-Zor. Uh, you're talking about quite a big country with a rich history. Of course, the job that I did for 3 years requires a lot of patience, a lot of diplomacy in a very difficult environment full of hardships.
Lastly, if you could leave a message for the Syrian people, what would it be?
Well, Anna Maria, let me do that in Arabic.
Please.
إلى الشعب السوري إن صمودكم وأمالكم الثابت مصدر إلهام حقيقي يقف الاتحاد الأوروبي إلى جانبكم ويبقى ملتزما بتقديم الدعم لكم تذكروا أن شباب سوريا هم مفتاح مستقبلكم عزيزوا مواهبكم وتابعوا التعليم وتبانوا الابتكار ترى أوروبا إمكانيات كبيرة في جيلكم الشاب ولتؤمن بقدراتكم على تشكيل مستقبل أكثر إشراقا.
Thank you, Dan, for sharing your experiences and insights. We wish you continued success and we remain hopeful for a sustained progress and peace in Syria.
Thank you very much for your invitation, and my last message would be keep the course, keep the course. The future is yours, and the future of Syria is the young people of Syria.
Thank you.